But the fun thing with the video is you can be a little bit more avant-garde and random, which is always fun. So this is my third attempt at recording a first Patreon SkyBlog thing. And the first two, I started talking about the Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones, and instantly something went wrong. And a video recording stopped, or stream broke, or something stupid, and so I'm not going to talk about Planet of the Apes. I have a whole thing, and I guess maybe that'll happen on Break Room, maybe not. You'll find out another time. Damn monkey shines. So, instead, I would like to introduce you to a new feature, or new thing that we're doing on the Patreon for East Court Productions, which is we have converted our monthly release thingy to executive vlogs-ish kind of thing. See, before I had done, I think there's 4 of them, like these Sky mono podcasts, and I'd already mentioned about using the pun of the SkyBlog. This damn pneumonia or whatever. James Franco. That's the great thing about SkyBlog. The branding is that it's very easy to make puns out of it, which is awesome. So yeah, so expect more of those in the future. So for this, which is going to be the public SkyBlog, I guess Patreon SkyBlog 0 or some crap. I mean, I've done this kind of stuff on the channel before. You mostly know what to expect. If you think about those, the BabsCon videos of me in my car, to be honest, if they do have one submarine in, one nuclear, whatever, North Korea submarine, apparently they're targeting Los Angeles first, so that's good for me. And that one video of me bitching about Bethesda, or he could have been hiding knowing that there would be a backlash because there's no more Fallout DLC, which is bullshit. And then the other Patreon content dump podcast, which you can download them all as soon as, if say you join Patreon today. You can download all those and listen whenever you want. They vary in length and themes for every one of them somehow. So I think one's like an hour and a half long, and then 45 and 45, and the first one was 20. But I think they're fun. And yeah, so that's part of my pitch. And the rest of it is that I hope the ones in the future are also interesting enough that you'll give us money, which is great. And as I mentioned in the past, we have a Wasteland Survival Guide coming up that was written by a patron, which is awesome too. And if you want to do something like that, or even a Terminal Secrets or a Confessions, you can do that for just the 1 month, and you get your episode, and then you can drop back down to whatever, like a normal tier, or whatever. And, so yeah, that's something to consider, all I'm saying. I forget what we wrote down, but I think for the Confessions, it's like a Ghoul Doctor length, like a 1 hour, that's a 20-page script, FYI. Or at least, it's 20 pages the way I write, which is unique. I don't use all the fancy script writing programs like Celtics or any bullshit like that. I'm not Celtic, so what's the point of using Celtics if you're not Celtics? Anyway, so I don't write with Celtics because I don't like things that are different. Instead, I write on Google Docs because they were easier for me, especially early on when I wrote on Plane. So they would sync to my, little Google Chromebook, which is great, except the times it wouldn't sync, which made things tricky. But I always got it to work. I never lost any, significant chunk of script that I'd written on a flight, and then it disappeared into the ether. So it is convenient, too, if I want to, read it on my phone, some edit I made, the night before, and then I'm on my lunch, and I'm like, oh, what did I write? Oh, that's crap, and then I move on. Yeah, so That is an option too, if you wanted to write a confessions episode. That one is a bit more expensive, because that's a lot of logistics. And you can talk to James if you're interested, but I think the Terminal Secrets one is something like the first episode, so it'd be like 35 minutes, or 40, or whatever that was. So, yeah, something like that. But the option is open for you. It's sort of like a bonus podcast, you know. Or a bonus episode of those respective stories. It might not necessarily be fully, canon, quote unquote, with the rest of the stuff, depending on what you write, because we want you guys to have fun if you're going to be a patron and contribute something amazing like that. But anyway, so that's enough of the sell of the patron. So if you like more of this, check out the patrons. And enough of the shilling. So What do I usually talk about on these podcasts? I normally don't do video blogs. And of course, the other ones, they made sense in the car because they were in the car. So I was driving and distracted and couldn't do anything else. So make a video blog. That's perfect. And you're focused and you got the acoustics. And I have decent acoustics here too, but I don't have enough sound paneling yet. Like, I'm going to have decorations back on that wall over there, like in between the two lamps. But on the wall, like with the window, where noise can come from, because there's crap out that window. It's not always loud, but it can potentially be loud. Actually, I wonder if I can add a key light in here. Those of you who took high school media class know about key lighting and backlighting. Yeah, my lamp, my desk lamp. Okay, now that has an official purpose, which is video blogging, which is great. And something, it's not in my element. I remember, for old SkyBlog fans, if you've been around that long, when I filmed the... it started as the Nostalgia Critic parody, and then it was my 2-year anniversary special, / 2,000 subscribers. That was just a whole new experience. I think the final cut was like 40 minutes, but I filmed, I think, 3 hours. It was so many takes, and it was so many getting things right, and being expressive enough in the camera, and things like that I'm not used to it, because even though I have done a lot of physical, acting before, I've done, productions in high school, and kind of college kind of stuff too, and musicals. It's not my forte these days. It's not my experience compared to my now pretty decent-sized discography of music and radio plays and crap. So those are that. But the fun thing with the video is you can be a little bit more avant-garde and random, which is always fun. So for instance, even though that's going to be some kind of decoration wall, so down the road I'll put up like horses up there and stuff, something like this, like horses, nay, yay. No, it's always the other way around, nay and yay. But what is this from? Everfree. I want to say this is from Everfree 2014. I'm 57% sure. That was a fun con, and I got to meet Tony Fleeks. Of course, he goes to all these cons, and he's one of the, I think he's one of the official artists for the comics. I think I have that right, or something. Anyway, so that's great. You get a few good pieces of art like that, or if you have the right VAs there, you get a piece of art and have them sign it. So we've got the Claires and the Do Declare, and then the Tabitha. So this was pretty fun. This was from Baltimore, back when Baltimore existed and didn't burn to the ground, like 1 month after I was there. That was a little bit scary in retrospect. It was a little bit scary in person too, but the great thing about cons is that when you're in a school of colorful horse people, you're more safe than if you're by yourself, just going through Baltimore, which I think there was recent news about how they're trying to pay people to have a ceasefire, which is hilarious. So anyway, yeah, BronyCon, that was a good time. And that was the time where I think I waited I want to say 3 hours for Tabitha's signature. It was something insane like that. I don't even know why. It was something about her being late, I think. And so I waited, like, was it Saturday afternoon? I want to say. I went to a panel at, like, 2, and then I had, like, a 4-hour block when she was also signing in there, and I happened to go then, like, between 2 and 4 or 6. And then I hung out normal that night and everything. But yeah, this was an incredibly hard signature to get, so I'm very proud of it. And I do like how adorable it is with the two of them. So, yeah. Okay. See, again, high school media class. You go to enough to understand the squares, the rule of threes. So you've got the center of the shot, and then you've got the center of the shot. And what you want to do as a person, as human being, and this is all based on your eyes. This is all based on binocular vision and how we interpret scenes, especially through the lens of film, is you want to put that head somewhere at the crossroads. Somewhere here, or if you're like down here, like it's all quiet, you've got some moody scene, like you're hiding and there's like, whatever, bird Nazis or something around you. Shot composition, yeah, you don't want too much headroom unless it's significant, like you're supposed to feel isolated or like the world's coming down all around you. There's got to be something else I can do about this. Because now I'm going to have to correct my... Will that work? Okay. Alright, that works a little bit better. Okay. And I keep forgetting where the camera is. That's the other thing with live casting. With live blog, broad vlog casting, is you tend to look right in the center of the screen where your own face is, like it's a mirror, and you're some kind of idiot, and you're just staring in the mirror when really the camera is down here. So, yeah, that's important, especially in movies and TV and stuff. You'll notice new actors still figuring that out, and you'll still see them like check the camera when they should be looking not at the camera, because in that kind of medium, it's very disinserting unless you're supposed to do it for some reason. So I always love, or I always think back to that 70s show when you're talking about like the sort of the language of television too, because that 70s show was great. It wasn't just a period piece of the era, but it also was like subtle mockery commentary on the shows of the era. Everything from the laugh track to the staging to the sitcom styling. A lot of it was very, very 70s, and it was very appropriate and fun in that way. So they do a lot of great 70s referential, like movie things. I'd honestly say they probably do a better job of that than the actual mockumentary The Office does with the American Office. We've been through this before. The U.S. Office does with their mockumentary overstory. The whole idea of them being filmed in increasingly ridiculous scenarios that they would be filmed. But then again, there's so many goofy reality shows these days, I guess, it's not too far outside the possibility. Like, there's that reality show Naked and Afraid, which is just great. You just put two strangers naked in the woods, and they have to survive somehow, and that's, that's endless laughs, Too bad it's censored, though. It's like, that kind of show really should be on HBO, That would be that much more interesting. What else? What were we talking about beforehand? Like several tangents beforehand. No, seriously, I don't remember. Okay, I guess we'll move on to something else. What other good movies were out? So, we're not talking about Planet of the Apes. We're not. At all. It's never gonna happen. We do have a patron that came on the came on the podcast here, though, so they might be joining us either this weekend, as if I know when I'm going to release this. At some point, they will be on, which will be great. That will be a first experiment, and hopefully they don't hate it and us by extension, that we do this right and make it interesting. It's so screwy. Every once in a while, I see a bad connection frame rate error, and it doesn't make sense to me because, once again, my freaking Wi-Fi is right there. It's right freaking there. So there's no reason for there to be bad connection. Comcast. If you live on the East Coast or somewhere where it's found, get Verizon FiOS. It is simple and perfect, and I literally never had a problem with Verizon FiOS. I signed up, I plugged in their box, and it worked for 18 straight months until I moved. And then I come back to this, and I have to just deal with Comcast and try not to kill myself, which especially hurt because of the Google Fiber, and we've been through all that before. So, but now Google Fiber is dead because cables are still a bullshit oligarchy that need to be antitrusted back to hell, just like the frickin' Standard Oil and so many other companies were. You're next, cable companies. Also railroads, that was a big deal. I have a group of engineer friends, naturally, from college, and we have regular Catan game nights, which is really fun. And we normally just do normal, regular Catan. But I actually found a... Catan's like Monopoly now, where there's frickin' every version of it. Settlers of Catan, or Seafarers of Catan, or whatever. And they have an American version now, quote-unquote, I know. It's a... No, but they like change up the game, sort of like it's still the same game, and it still functions mostly the same, but there's enough different things. It's like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. They're mostly the same, but there's enough different things that it does affect the gameplay style, and a big driving mechanic of that is railroads, which is really cool, because it's sort of set like, instead of Settlers of Catan, it's American settlers of the American West. You know, sending frickin' people up the Oregon Trail that don't die of dysentery, and then they build trains along the routes that work. It was really funny. Like, the whole interior of the U.S. was actually like territories for a very, very long time, because it's like California became a state right away, and then I guess it'd be the other way. Here's the other thing, is when you're live streaming, you're looking at like a mirror view, but at the end, it's all going to switch. So it's going to look weird to you, to me, from what I actually recorded. So I'm trying to link these up like it's going from the East Coast over to the West Coast, but it's totally the opposite looking to you. So it's going to be going from the East Coast all the way down South America, because there's no Panama Canal yet, and back to the West Coast. And so they settled California and Oregon and Washington and made them states, essentially, way before we got to, like, Wyoming and Arizona and places like that. So, anyway, that's a fun game, Settlers of Catan. We have a great time, all of us nerdy freaking engineers. And at least both of them are pretty big Fallout fans, too. They're not pony people, which is fine, but sad. But, yeah, we had a good time. We actually did one road trip all the way down to Vegas, which was very like a New Vegas photo journey. It was like, you know, we got to hit up Good Springs, and we got to hit up Zion National Park, and all the good stuff. It was very fun. I even saw a real life Cazador, the tarantula hawks, which are scary big, and if they sting you, it's like one of those painful stings you could ever get stung by. What else was I talking about before this? Okay, so we had the pony signs, so those will go on the wall eventually and be good decoration for the vlogs when they actually mature into some kind of stasis. You got to think about how the evolution of I'm doing it backwards again. The evolution, March progress. The evolution of media goes, which is like the podcast. Like, they had the very James and friends had the very first Stable Talk thingy that was very, like, partially animated, and that was okay. And then we had the Stable Talk podcast, which was much more interesting because I was a part of it. And so we had those. And then that evolved even further into the East Court Break Room podcast. And now it's become the modern live streaming East Court Break Room podcast. So it's definitely filled into its own. And now kind of the benefit here is I could edit stuff on the back end of this and then edit it and add whatever flourishes I want. But I could just upload the live stream too. Kind of depends on what kind of time and energy I have. Because my life is busy, and as much time as I try to put into the fun hobby things I enjoy, I don't always have that time anymore. But I'd still try, so I still have, like, I'm starting to get, like, sound panelings that I can put up on, like, these walls and things, and help make the sound just slightly better than it is or has been for the past little while. So, obviously, nowhere near a career, but I like the hobby enough to feed into it, so that's fun. Yeah, and what else could we talk about? This sometimes happens, because I'm honestly not at peak capacity right now anyway. If you want, like, really solid SkyBlog, that's behind the Patreon wall, but, Okay, I'm back from whatever cut that ends up being, because I really did have to think of what else to talk about, and that is something that will actually be nice of these, is that I can do a bit more editing and stuff on the back end. We actually have a behind-the-scenes video where coming out soon, unless this takes forever to come out, that does the same thing. I experiment a little bit with that, and it was one more thing I thought of talking about, and it was so we actually have a full-on My Little Pony movie now.
What is happening?
Well, coming soon, you know. You get what I'm saying. So, the big question is, what would the movie that you make for the horses be? So, if you were making the My Little Pony movie, what is your script? What is the plot line that you propose? And, of course, simple answer is it's Fallout Equestria. But no, that isn't going to be what I'm suggesting. Because, of course, I'm proposing that we do this in the realistic confines of the universe that we're dealing with here. Which is, it still has to apply to original audience, target audience, they would maybe say for marketing's sake, but it's original audience, because I would argue that they're over 50% appealing to the bronies now, rather than the original audience. And I'm fairly certain I could win a court battle if that were a case to be made. Anyway, so, if I were to make a My Little Pony movie that would air and whatever, I'm the executive at Hasbro, I'm Mr. Bro, has been bro. It's like his name. I would propose, and this has been an idea I've wanted to touch on for a long time, and I even talk about it in the Fall of an Empire Moonrise behind the scenes video, which is I would set up for Celestia and Luna a pantheon kind of backstory. Think of Disney's Hercules in concept, not how poorly executed it was, but think of that concept of, original Greek mythology. You've got this like society of these gods and demigods and all sorts of things like that, and they're away from the earth. They're up on Mount Olympus, and they're distant from the puny mortals down below. That's what I think would be really cool, since they've imported so much of Greco-Roman mythology anyway, from the Tartaruses to the to the three-headed dogs, what is his name, Cerberuses, to the so many different things, Minotaurs, etc. Why not just throw the whole freaking pantheon in there too, literally? And so I would set up the movie of a normal day in Equestria. You know, you have a few like little scenes of everyone doing their normal thing, and then Twilight and friends, they all for whatever. It's like a party or something, and like both Celestia and Luna are there. And then, of course, you have your big inciting action. You have some big reveal, like an earthquake tears a crater open right through the party, and all these flames and bright lights and auroras shoot out of it, and it's all crazy looking, and Celestia immediately gets that look on her face like she knows something's up. And then you see Luna doing the same thing too, and Twilight's like, fill me in, guys, what's going on? And essentially, they're getting phone call that they have to answer. This is like Spike with the dragon magic. They can't turn the light off. They have to answer the call and go to that Pantheon realm, which could be layer, or, you know, you could imply that what Twilight was walking through when she frickin' died was like scenes from that ethereal, deistic, like, Pantheon realm, or whatever they call it. And anyway, so they have to go back to like the OG Immortals, and Discord shows up, or he's there too, and he goes with them too, because gotta have a story with Discord in it, because he needs more stuff to do. That's one of the worst things they did, was saddle him with frickin' Fluttershy. She ruins everything she touches, including Discord, because now he's like just this whiny, pissant kind of character, and it's like, what if they'd shackled him to Pinky, even? That would have been more interesting. She's got her screwy candy shop, and he's making treats for them and the cakes, and then, you know, he's doing his silly antics, but she's actually has a purpose. She has to be responsible sometimes when it's around Discord, and they have an episode about how you have to play your part for certain situations, or some frickin' BS, you know, plotline thing. That's one thing I would change about Discord, is put him with anyone else besides frickin' Quiet Yellow. And, so anyway, all of them, a lot of OG God characters, they all get summoned up, and they're like, they meet like the Pantheon. We get introduced to someone who's like, what have you guys been doing? You've been screwing up the mortal world, and now we're starting to feel it up here. And there could be some BS about how Discord changing allegiances screwed up the balance of something or other, or that they've defeated too many earthly enemies, so now things are like falling out of flux. I don't know, whatever excuse you want. And so then there's that big bad guy that they then have to defeat, is whatever starts reaping the benefits of it. And it's cracking little holes of auroral magic all over the place. And it's literally like ripping the world apart with, whatchamacallit. It's like the Langoliers, the Stephen King book/movie. And where they eat time, but maybe something starts eating at the reality on the fringes for whatever BS reason. It could be the change of the elements, or whatever. Like, Celestia and Luna weren't supposed to be on Earth that long. They were only sent down to restore the harmony and get rid of the Wendigos, which was the first time the Earth started falling out of balance, and they came up and became, you know, just started eating at everyone's sad emotions, because you don't see them around anymore. It's like not every time one of them has a bad day, there's a frickin' Wendigo just shows up and is just there. So, of course, it's got to be some kind of threshold, some kind of critical event. And, yeah, then what I think would be so great about that, especially with a plot line like restoring the balance or restoring harmony, is that then every character would be important in one way or another, because they're all pieces of the whole. They're all the 6 elements, and then of course, and friends, all the other characters around there too. So they'd all have to do something related to their characters to help restore the balance, and like everything flying out of whack, tilt it back into motion, put everything back on its right spin. So, of course, this is a very, like, symbolic sense of what it would be. But essentially the balance would have to start affecting the others as well. Like one or two or a few of them, they end up starting to like get like turn or get separated or mean or something. And what's really hard about these movies is you can't do that without like you don't want it to be just a copycat of like what Discord did or like what Nightmare Moon kind of did. I don't know. I guess it's mostly Discord, and Discord would be a major actor in it. He would be like sort of he has to go back to helping create more chaos because he's like been basically sleeping on the job. Now that he's good, he's not creating enough disharmony to keep those things in motion either. And so it's everyone playing their part and their purpose and all that crap. So I don't know really. It's hard. I mean, the show's been on so long. They've done so many different kinds of stories, and I really don't know what to make of what I've seen of the actual movie coming out. So it seems very, I don't know. I really am not sure what to make of what the movie is going to be or should be. I just think at least from the whole Fall of an Empire idea, I always thought it would be cool to have like reference the other gods. Like maybe they're the enemy. Maybe it's like they see that Celestia and Luna and Discord were very successful coming down to Earth, and so maybe they get called back only by like the High God, like their dad or something. You know, then we have the frickin' King Galaxy or whatever OC you want to turn into a real character. And he's like, something is wrong in Olympus. The many other gods have been watching your exploits down in the mortal world. They've seen what kind of power you wield relative to their puny forms, and now they're jealous. And hey, you could have like a Fall from Grace kind of arc, where like 1/3 of the Olympus creatures, they're all mad, so they want to go down and have their own piece of everything. And then they all like side-eye over to Discord, because he's like the first one that did this all by himself. He's like the Lucifer, and he's like, what? I reformed. I'm good now for whatever good can be in me, or whatever. And so he would sort of be like Sunset Shimmer in Rainbow Rocks, where he's the one in the process of actually changing and becoming better, but then you see all these other people doing all this other kind of bad stuff like what he did, and he has to then be sort of a hero or use his experience to help. And maybe that's where he has to cause... yeah, actually that works a lot better than the balance thing. And so then they... basically so many of these like deities just start dropping to Earth that they have to use the magic of friendship to build an even larger coalition of all the villains they've dealt with over the years. You got to go to Tartarus and dig out Tirek and other Queen Chrysalis and all the others, and whoever else, like new characters they can pull from Tartarus to help them and make the case that it's for literally the sake of the world, because these people, they're not going to stop at just certain beings. They're going to try to enslave all of you, because they saw how successful Celestia and Luna were at it, even though they were mostly good most of the time. When one of them went bad, like Nightmare Moon, boy, did she go bad. And then there was Discord, of all things. And, yeah, I think that would be really cool. And, maybe the other gods won't come down or help much, except maybe just the Galaxy guy. Because they're either neutral, or they just don't care enough about the human realm one way or another. Just make them so distant, make them so uncaring, that then it's about, like, they stick to themselves. They stick together with them. We have to stick together with each other and come together, even though, villains and such, and stop these evil gods who are invading and wanting to rule the world for themselves. And they're literally like it's like the scramble for Africa. They're just carving up the map, and they're like, this is going to be my part of Equestria. And they're like fighting each other over it. They're like, no, I want the mountain. No, I want the mountain. And yeah, and so then all of the the characters we know and love. They start looking like just pawns in the shuffle of a larger game. And even the revelation of this pantheon, you could have some kind of backstory about Luna and Celestia first coming down and sort of harmonizing the world back together after the whole Wendigo story, which is sort of my headcanon anyway, that I drive everything together, is three kingdoms came together. Yeah, they made up, and power of love and magic and stuff, but then Celestia and Luna go down, they're the Cupid, so to speak. They were meant to foster that and have that seed of love grow to make sure that the Wendigos, the evil spirits, didn't just consume the earth all over. See, this is also the writing process. So you come up with those initial ideas, and then at some point you realize one chunk of ideas, like the whole harmony thing, mostly go out of the window, or they get minimalized. So instead of restoring balance, it's they have to come together to fight the invading overlords. So, and you could call them something like that, the overlords. That's not too scary. You can still have a lot of fun action sequences, and it could be like Discord, or a Loki kind of character and other kind of characters where they can all be a little bit wacky. They can all have funny moments that soften that blow, that make that sweet PG right on the money, where it's just perfect for mass distribution. So that's what I would do with it, because I think the show really shines. Then they have to go all over the place and sort of clean up these individual messes, and at the same time, basically, help contain and go to a bunch of different locations and do a bunch of different stuff. Just more of the same, but better, And I actually almost would make it like a story, not about Discord, but that he has a very primary kind of role in resolving everything, in kind of using his experience of reforming to put the world back together, when now he sees, oh wait, if everyone else did the same kind of selfish stuff that I did, working in their own self-interest instead of the harmony of the world, then everything goes to crap. And, he really, really learns that lesson here. I'm drawing a bit from DWK, if you haven't picked up yet, about how Discord is he's a repentant villain, but not a reformed villain. He hasn't actually done anything to make up for everything that he's done yet. He's just sort of has his little pissy fits and then comes back and it's like, I'm sorry, I guess. And then, supposed to just forgive him, which is fine, I guess. So that's kind of where I would start with a movie idea. And and that's just like the seasons, or if they want to make another movie, or if this movie is how it all ends, which I'm not picking up from the vibes of the marketing. This sounds like the first of many, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a trilogy out of this or something, because that money train is still chugging. Fandom's still going in a sort of plateaued, steady pace, and target demographic still exists, and it's still a juggernaut of money for Hasbro, that's for sure. It's just like and if the Transformers movies are anything of an indicator, it's like, as long as it's making decent money, keeps chugging along, just gonna keep cranking them out. They'll make more money, and Michael Bay will make more enemies, and that's fine. And so Hasbro can be the same way. Gosh, so anyway, I thought that could be a fun idea. But yeah, so this is loosely the kind of thing that we're going to be doing for these little I don't know, we've been calling them like executive vlogs, because that is sort of what they're going to end up being. So we'll see how it turns out and how regularly we do them. It's not going to be super regular, because of course we do have the podcasts and everything else that we're working on as well, but it's something, if we're in the right mood and the right setting and situation, hopefully we can roll out some fun content. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this, and we will talk to you all more later. maybe I'll edit this in post and make it like some kind of funny skip with like a piece of dialogue that says, couldn't think of anything for 2 minutes, or brain stopped, or something like that.